I think that was a good preface, and to kind of like wanted to talk with everybody just about like the mindset of like a top producer and like the mindset of like a six-figure income earner. We have a really amazing opportunity here. And I think that everybody shows up, right, with good intentions of I want to really do this thing, right? I want to take the bull by the horns, and I want to make six figures. And some people may come in here not wanting to make six figures. I don't know. Um, if not, then I don't know, maybe this, may not really apply to you, but I think it can, because even if you want to make 50,000, right? Like it's still, if you've never made $50,000 in a year before or in a month before, like your mindset has to change. You know, I know when I got to senior life, I had never made over $2,000 in a month before. Okay. And I knew that going into this, like my mindset was going to have to change. And, I knew that I was going to have to be coachable and teachable. I knew that I was going to have to utilize a mentor and utilize a system. And I'm really grateful to, I've been sober, I've been sober over 10 years now. And I have a really good foundation as far as like, with my recovery, and recovery taught me a lot about how to like die to myself and like take a system and follow a system to really like change my life and have a better way of life. And so coming into this, when I found out there was a system, I was like, okay, cool, I can follow a system. I've done that for, pretty much half my life. And oh, I have a mentor. Okay, great. Like I'm going to totally utilize my mentor, because when I was trying to get sober, I utilized somebody that had more sobriety time than me, and, constantly call them because it was like a life or death situation for me getting sober. And I kind of treat everything like that now. Like to me, like coming to senior life, it was kind of like a life or death situation, because I was like literally like broken. I hadn't worked in like almost a year. My life was like falling apart. Okay. And so I'm like, okay, I need to treat this like it's life or death, because it really is, like I have the opportunity to possibly change my life trajectory. Okay. And I kind of knew that like coming into it. And, I'm just going to be like really honest. I was like super kind of part time because I was still in school, because I thought that like school and like getting a degree was like what I needed to do, because that's what the world told me. And so that's what I was doing. And so when I was approached about the opportunity, I was still kind of like half into that, and then kind of like half into this. And so my first 2 months, like I tried to like go to school during the day, like get off and like go see clients. And I started off getting like, like 10 leads a week. Okay. Which is like nothing, but I was in the field and I was working part-time. And I just really wasn't like seeing the results, right? Because I wasn't committed like I wanted to be. Okay. And so, because I had already made a commitment to school. And so I had to do a lot of soul searching of like, what do I really want to do? And so I kind of like had this revelation of like, okay, I'm going to school to get a job, to provide for my family, and to help people. Okay. So maybe like there's another opportunity to where I can provide for my family and help people. Right. And I felt like God was really just kind of veering me um the opposite way. And so in May of 2019, I made a commitment and a decision that I was going to put school on hold. Okay. And I took the semester off, and I told David, I was like, okay, I want to go all in. Like, what do I need to do? And I didn't be like, oh, well, I'm only willing to do this or only willing to do that. Like, I'm like, okay, I have nothing left. Okay. I had a conversation with my mom, and I was like, hey, I'm really going to try to make six figures like in the next 12 months. And so, and I still use the word like try, because I really still kind of like struggled with kind of belief in myself. And luckily I've been taught that like I can do anything that I set my mind to, because it's based on my own experience. But I said, I'm going to try to make 6 figures within the next 12 months. So I need your support. Okay. Cause I had like a newborn baby at this time. So I'm like, okay, you're going to have to like help me out here. So I created all the arrangements and I was like, okay, like I'm ready to do this. And so Dave was like, all right, so you got to get at least 20 leads every single week, and that's what I did. And, I made a commitment that I was going to work every single day because I had no sales experience. And so I knew that I was going to have to work harder than the person that I was trying to emulate, which at that time was Jen. She was the top producer. She wrote $40,000 every single month consistently. And I'm like, okay, that's the person that I want to emulate. And Jen works 7 days a week. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to work 7 days a week, and following the system, like working from 9 a.m. to dark 30. I would come home, it was like 9:30 at night, right? And then I would have to put my kids to bed, and then I would still be doing training. At that time I was really into like Jordan Belfort. So I was like, from like 10 o'clock to like 12 o'clock at night, I was like soaking in like sales training because I wanted to be the best at this. If I'm going to do it and go all in, like just go all in. Right. And so constantly like feeding my mind with how to become better. Right. Because like my mentor can only give me so much, and then I also have to seek like outside sources on how to be the best salesperson that I could be, because that's what I wanted to be at that time. And so getting on the calls every morning, like the calls are so amazing because you can, even if you pick up like one thing, right, that one thing could like change your business, right? Doing the, at that time, like 15 presentations. Now, granted, we were in the field, doing 15 presentations in a week. Like that was my goal, like to do a presentation, right? And so like if I couldn't get in the door or if somebody slammed the door in my face or they told me they weren't interested or whatever, I immediately called my manager. Okay. And I said, and I didn't be like, man, this lead sucks. I was like, okay, David, like this is what the person said. Like, what should I have said instead? And I did that like multiple times throughout the day. And I would like blow up his phone if he didn't answer. If he didn't answer, I would call like Doug and then somebody else, like I want to know, I don't have time to waste, right? I don't have leads to waste, like I took every lead as an opportunity to learn and get better, right? The leads were my education. I didn't think about like the money. I just thought about like, these are my education, to become better. And I remember being on a call with Doug, and he said that part of the system was if you aren't talking to 5 people before you get back into your car after you go see your lead, like you're not following the system. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not following the system. So I started like, when I would go to a lead's house, I would like talk to, and that was like super uncomfortable for me, going up to like a random door that I didn't know the person and like, trying to sell them life insurance. But like I did it because that's what they said to do. And obviously if other people are doing it and they're having success, like, okay, it's only a matter of time before it's going to work for me. Right. And so I started doing that. So I'm talking to like, like 50% more people than I was before. So I'm getting 20 leads, talking to like 50% more people. And then I'm also like getting referrals from the people that I would sell, hey, I need 3 to 4 names. So I'm just like getting in like tons and tons of activity. Right. And then like, I don't know, I took like this quantum leap of like, I remember I ended up writing like $12,000 in a week. And, I attribute it to the fact that I was doing all of these things. Right. And so, and they were things that were uncomfortable, but I did them, and so like you have to have, you know, the mindset of like, okay, I have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. So if something makes you feel uncomfortable, you should probably do it, and do it until you get comfortable, right? You have to have mental toughness, right? Like people are going to slam the door in your face. People are going to be ugly to you. People are going to be mean to you. Things, it's people are people. So we're in the people business. So we have to learn how to deal with people. Okay. And it's, don't take it personal. That was like the biggest thing that I learned. Like, it's not personal. It's not about me. Like the people that we're talking to, they got tons of people calling them each and every day, right? So if they're mean to me, like, it's not me. They're probably just having a bad day or whatever. And so, like, not taking it personal, not reacting, right? When people would slam the door in my face, just like, okay, cool. I bless you. On to the next person. And I'm telling you these things because, like, these were the things that helped me to get to a higher level. Okay. Listening through personal development, right? Because like I said, when I came here, I had never made over $2,000 in a month before. So I knew that I had to change as a person to get a different result than what I had been getting, you know? And so in my free time, I was listening to books, on Audible or reading books. And I really don't like to read. I like to read more now than before. But again, I don't like to do it, probably need to do it, right? And so just really soaking in all of these things. And I mean, the main thing is just following the system. Like if you do that, like you'll be successful, but it's following it to a T, like not picking and choosing the things that you want to do. It's doing those things 100% and then consistently over a period of time. Because you can't say, okay, I'm going to follow the system today and like expect to be like a top producer overnight. Okay. It's following the system day in, day out, even when I don't want to do it, even when I'm mad or like, things aren't going my way or whatever. Like I just do the system. And now it's like it's second nature to me. Like I just do it like on autopilot, right? And so in doing that, right, my first month, I wrote like $18,000 in business. Okay. And that was working like 7 days a week. Okay. But again, getting in so much activity. And then literally the next month, I told David, I said, okay, I want to be the number one agent in the country. What do I have to do? He's like, all right, you're gonna have to go from getting 20 leads to getting 40 leads. So that was like, twice the money I was going to be spending. But again, not my money. Senior Life's financing me the leads. And so I made a commitment. Okay. I backed it up with activity, with action, and like the resources, right? Which was the leads that was going to take me to get there. And like me and Dave actually came up with a plan. Okay. This is how much business you're going to have to write each day. And then each week, these are the amount of leads. And like every week he would be like, hey, this is where you're at. Okay. The second week, this is where you're at. And like just getting closer and closer. And, lots of prayer, like, okay, God, I need your help with this because I can't do it on my own, because I'm like, when I come home, I'm like, I'm tired. And then I got to get up and do it all over again. And doing that 7 days a week, like, is a lot, with having kids and having a family and like all these things. And like, but again, like I'm building like mental toughness, like I'm stretching and I'm growing. And it's like, it's so uncomfortable that like, I like at night wanted to cry because I was so tired and it's hot outside. Like I started in May and June. So I hear people complain about like going out in the field and like, yeah, I was sweating. I was like walking in neighborhoods, sweating my little butt off. But again, like I see the goal, I see where I want to be, like I'm just going to do it, And so my second month with Senior Life, I was the number one agent in the country and I wrote $41,000 in business. Okay. And we all have the same opportunity. Okay. It's just the mindset is different. The activity has to be different. You have to be willing to let people coach you, even if you don't necessarily agree always with maybe what they say, but like they've done it first. They're having the success. So obviously they're doing something right. So maybe I should take note and apply what they're doing, and you have to kind of find your own like groove in your own way, and your own like personality, right, of doing things. But like, that's what it takes to make 6 figures in this business and to be a top producer in this business. Like, you're going to have to do these things. I was talking to an agent the other day, and we were talking about one of the top people within this organization. And she was like, oh, that person has such like an advantage over me. They have all this help and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, they don't. If anything, they probably get the least help. Right. And she's like, oh, well, saying like, oh, well, she made, $250,000 in 1 year. I'm like, yeah. Do you know how much leads she had to buy to make $250,000 in a year? I know how much money she spends on leads each month. Is that something that you're willing to do to make $250,000 in a year? We all say we want to do these things, but then when it comes down to putting the foot to the pavement and doing the things that's required, we kind of get scared, or I call it crawfishing, right? We're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. Right. But like, this is what it takes, so you have to really soul search. Do you want to make 6 figures? Yes. Okay. Are you willing to commit to do what it takes to make 6 figures? Yes. Okay. Let's come up with a game plan of what that's going to look like. And then I need you to stick to that consistently. And I ask people, do you give me permission to hold you accountable to this? Okay. Because sometimes we have to set clear expectations of what that will look like. Okay. So we're all on the same page. And do you give me permission to hold you accountable to this? And if you do, then when you're like playing around or you're doing this or doing that, like, I'm going to have to call you out on it because you gave me permission. And to me, I don't want somebody to fail underneath like my leadership. Right. So, and I'm still growing too, as a leader, right? Because then you go from being a producer to building a business. That's a whole nother new set of like skills, right? And things that you have to learn, right? So I had to have a conversation with myself. Bianca, do you really want to be a business owner? Is that what you want? Okay. Are you willing to commit to what that looks like to be a business owner? Yes. Okay. Now it's time to show up and do whatever it takes. So I wanted to kind of read something to you about, I'm reading this book. It's called From Chaos to Clarity, No Turning Back. Okay. And he talks about going V1, which is like, so when a plane is going down the runway, okay, and it's about to take off, it gets to the point, it's called V1. And it's basically like, there's no turning back. Like the plane is taking off. Okay. Nothing can stop it. It's taking off. And, I kind of thought about that with like my level of commitment, like a V1 level of commitment to where there's no going back, like to where I was last year, So I just kind of want to read some things and then we'll kind of wrap it up. But it says commitment increases your capacity. Okay. If you say yes completely with all your heart, your capacity will increase. He says, I can tell when someone's not fully committed to something, it's revealed in their actions. If you have a spouse, then you know this is true. You stick with them, even when there are problems. That's because you're committed. And when you're committed, you're able to shoulder a whole lot more and put up with a whole lot more than when you aren't. And I know I'm committed to my team. I'm committed to Senior Life. I'm committed to David. That's the type of person I am. Like, I'm like a ride or die kind of person, like probably to a fault. If I'm with you, I'm with you. And so that helps to increase my capacity of what I can take on, you know? The second thing is commitment demands attention. We don't shine the spotlight on people who do something great one single time, right? We shine the spotlight on people who continue to perform over and over and over again. Great leaders don't become known for their leadership after doing one good thing. They become known for their leadership after they showed a commitment to it, after they stayed the course through thick and thin. You see, people may not notice you the first time. They may not listen to you the first time. But if you continue to do the same things over and over again and have success, then people will start to notice you, right? Like you can't just like, write $40,000 in a month one time, like, and just expect to get all this attention, right? It's like, no, try doing that like every single month for like 6 months, right? That's commitment, and this is by Mike Signorelli. He's actually the pastor of one of the fastest growing churches in America, right? He's a business owner, really. So the third thing is commitment generates credibility. We count on people who are consistent. The mailman will always deliver the mail. Your child's school teacher will always show up to teach. Commitment produces credibility. And when you commit and you show up, right, you have credibility. People will listen to you when you're constantly showing up day in. I've been doing the same thing for 4.5 years, not wavering, not stopping, same thing, right? I'm credible at this point. I know what I'm doing. Commitment makes way for God's purpose to manifest. He wants to give you everything he's promised you, and commitment allows him to do that. And that's true, right? Number 5, commitment is a choice that produces a feeling, not a feeling that produces a choice. You want to know says you want to know why people have abandoned you, why they've left you high and dry. It's because they didn't feel like being committed to you anymore. When feelings determine what we do, then we fall short. But when our actions, our commitment determines how we feel, then we stay true. There's sometimes when I don't feel like doing certain things, but because I'm committed, I do them anyway, right? There's some things that I don't necessarily like that maybe senior life may do or whatever, but because I'm committed to them, like I still show up for them every day, right? There's some things that I don't like that David does, right? But I show up and I'm committed to him because I've made that commitment already. You know what I mean? So the 6th thing is commitment gives you the ability to see what others will never get to see. He says, I started this journey of ministry with some people who aren't even in the game anymore. And I feel that way about this business. The people that I started with in the beginning, like, aren't even here anymore. A lot of them, some of them are. They walked out, they quit, and they have missed so much. They have missed seeing the hand of God move in unbelievable ways. They've missed lives being changed, blessings being given, doors being opened. I've seen all of these things and more because I'm committed. If you quit too soon, you miss out. And it's the same thing with this opportunity. If you quit before the miracle happens, I guarantee you will regret it. And you have to focus not on what necessarily you're seeing, but what is in the future, right? Because sometimes what we see in the beginning is like, Bianca, I don't know if this is working out like you told me it would, right? But like if you keep going consistently over a period of time, you will start to see what everybody else that's having success sees. There's a common theme, right? Like we're all singing the same song. So it's only a matter of time, but you can't give up before that time comes, right? And then the last thing is commitment reveals the depth of your conviction. People change their minds all the time. One day we like somebody, the next day we're not so sure. One day we're putting all we have into one vision, the next day we've got a new idea that has our full attention. There is something to be said for someone who sets up camp and stays put, someone who is willing to fight every single day without giving ground, without giving up, without being swayed. Someone who believes their calling so much, they're willing to risk it all. Now that's some heavy stuff, and I totally get it. And that's, you know, to me, the truest thing, because like I went through some really tough things recently within my business, but because I'm committed, like I didn't let those things knock me down. And they really could have, I'm not going to lie, but because I am committed to this, I'm committed to Senior Life, I'm committed to the promises that I know God has given me, like I keep going, and I don't let the negative thoughts that try to creep in get me down. I have to continue to speak, right? The things that God has told me and the promises in the future that I have, even though what right now doesn't seem like it's matching up with that, right? But I know that that is to come, you know, and you don't get to a level of success without going through trials and tribulations. So just know that when you're going through a tough period and a tough season, like it's for a reason, and you're only going to grow from it. You know, I feel like what I went through is actually making me stronger. It's making me a better leader. I've learned a lot of lessons throughout the way. And so I don't regret anything that's happened. You know, I wake up every day. Okay, what's next? What's next? And I share this with y'all because these are the things that like I do to be where I'm at right now. These are the thoughts that I have, the things that I read, the things that I listen to, right? Just the thought processes that go on through my mind. And so I'm just here to tell you that if you're struggling and, you know, you feel like, you know, I don't know, like you're kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like you need to go V1, you need to commit, like there's no turning back, burn the bridges and just go all in. You know, call your mentor today and say, what do I have to do to get to where you're at? You know, and if it's not your mentor and there's somebody else that you look up to within this organization, like we're all willing to share what it is that we do, you know, but then take what they say and implement it. You know, if you need help, if you need a game plan, like I'll help you if necessary, you know, but there's people here that are willing to help, but you have to say, hey, I'm struggling, I'm drowning, I need help. What am I missing? What am I missing? Because if you don't do that, you're going to keep drowning. And sometimes as a leader, we have so many people, we don't necessarily realize maybe that you're drowning. So you have to reach out. You have to ask for help if you really want this. So I pray that somebody got something out of what I said. And I just know that, you know, at the end of this year, we're going to see a lot more 6-figure income earners. We're going to see a lot more people reach new levels. If you haven't purchased your ticket for the Blake Group event, I would strongly suggest, I've missed one event in my 4.5 years of being here. And that's only because I felt like God was telling me to do something else. But the events are so important, like, because you get to be around people and share the mindset and see, right, like their visions, right, and soak in what they have to offer, you know. So if you haven't purchased your ticket yet, purchase your ticket, go V1, make a commitment that you're going to do whatever it takes to be successful. And I guarantee if you do that, by the end of 2023, you will see different results. All right, guys, thank you so much for letting me host this call. Y'all are all amazing. I love all you guys, and I look forward to seeing where we all are at the end of 2023. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Bianca. You're amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bianca.
Amazing.
You are
Amazing.
Thank you, Bianca.
Praise God for all you do.
Bianca.
Praise God for all you do.
This girl is on
Thanks,
fire.
Bianca. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Bianca. That was really inspiring.
Yes, thank you.
Your best, be one of your best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, y'all have a wonderful day.
You too.